Hello everyone, and welcome to Andrew Broussard Watercolors. Today is day 3 of this tonalist oil painting. The 2 other videos are up on YouTube. I'll try to put the link in the description below or on the end screen. There has been a few day delay due to me just letting the painting dry off. I'm kind of just playing with this process, working with glazes, etc. The first session was the sap green and what was it? I'm sorry, the sap green and the Pompeii red. They were from Williamsburg, and that was kind of just pushing paint around, setting up what was going to take place. Then the second session was using Galkid, which I used on the first one as well, to kind of thin things out and just start putting local color in areas. And that's what I'm going to continue with this third session. So it's more of a just hang out, watch the video and have fun. Not so much a teaching thing. I'm sure there's stuff that you can take away from this video process. But that being said, with oil painting, there's so many different techniques that at this point I don't even know what's correct and what's not anymore, and what's good and what isn't. So now let's dive in. As I use different colors, I'll just kind of mention what I'm working with. And I'm just going to start playing around. So let's just jump into it. Let's grab some ultramarine blue. I'm not sure if, yeah, the palette shows up a little bit on this, but I'm not too concerned about showing you all the palette. I do want some burnt umber out as well. Excuse me. So let me get that. And we will just have fun. This box of paints was knocked over yesterday. In a previous video, it was Harrison the cat knocking it over. I always feel like I need to specify that they're cats and not children, so that I'm not being like, oh yeah, my kid just knocked it over and made a mess. Yeah, it's like, no, it was the cat. Burnt umber and ultramarine. I think I want to see how that plays out. I usually use these two in watercolor for a dark gray. I want to start playing around with these background clouds. I'm going to superimpose the before image and then the ending image so you can see what I started with and what I'm ending up with. At this point they should already be on the video, but I've been enjoying doing that. And this is the first video where I'm utilizing, the first video of this oil series, where I'm utilizing the new cell phone and telephone to film it. And the clarity, setting it up, looks very nice. I was able to adjust my lights so that there shouldn't be too much reflection taking place, or a glare. So hopefully with this one you'll see kind of just some subtle changes. The techniques that I use are, I believe they're used by my 2 favorite painters, modern painters, Stuart Davies and Dennis Sheehan, especially the initial stage that I had done. this stage, I think that they glaze differently. So I'm not sure, but I know that Stuart Davies does have some videos up there. And I apologize for sniffling. Summer break started, and me and my fiance were just doing a little bit of cleaning of the house, so it probably kicked up some dust. Just accentuating my darks with this ultramarine burnt umber mixture. And then I'll probably push things towards green. It's funny, cleaning the house is always an exciting but daunting task, where you realize, like, oh my god, there's so much stuff we have to clean. There's just so many things. Like, I have all the bed sheets and the blankets and all that washing right now, and you think to yourself, oh, okay, so that's a step towards getting everything done. But then it's like, oh man, there's so much more to do. If you all saw the art room that I'm in right now and how messy it is, it's bad. Well, one thing that she picked me up that I want to try in this video, could have sworn I brought, yeah, I did. She was telling me about these cotton balls that had a pointy end. Reason being is I've watched Stuart Davies, I've watched David Usher, I believe, utilize the cotton balls to pull out or scrub back out pigment you just put down. And that's what I'm doing right here, just lifting up a little bit. And I was having a hard time getting nice thin areas to scrub out. And she had mentioned, oh, well, you know, there's pointed ones. So I think they'll come in handy. Also, you have the Patreon account, so that money goes towards art supplies. And I ordered 2 different Chinese ink sticks, which I think, I'll mix a little bit of alizarin in here, make kind of a purplish, which I think will be pretty interesting. The ink sticks, you have to grind them yourself to make the ink, so it's going to be a little tedious process. I don't think that'll be make its way into any films, but from what I've been reading, the ink sticks far surpass the liquid Chinese or Sumier ink in tonal subtlety and shades. I'm not sure why. One place I read that there's an excessive amount of binder in the liquid inks, so that might be the reason. Which is you know, something like with watercolor, when we do watercolor and look at it, pigment concentration is a big deal. Like, if you look at Winsor and Newton and you look at their student line, which is the Cotman line, which is fantastic. I totally go for the Cotman line over their artist line because of the quantity of paint in the tube. But one of the differences between their student line and the professional line is that the professional line just has more pigment in it. Let's build up a background tree shape. Probably gonna put them in dark, and then I'm gonna soften them. And if I don't like it, I can of course take my paper towel or Q-tip to scrub things out, clean things up. I think I want to grab some ultramarine. Let the sky get a little darker. I think I used Sevres blue, which is a Williamsburg pigment paint. It's based off of a old porcelain or vase color out of France or an area. And it's this lighter blue area. And I think they made it with a phthalo pigment and a white pigment. I figure a gradation from that blue up into a darker blue might be nice. One modern painter that I greatly admire, Eric Koppel. He paints in the style of the Hudson River Valley Masters, kind of like a landscape realist painter, but very dynamic and luminescent. And I saw a clip of one of his videos. I think they had put a free clip up as a holiday special type deal, and I watched him gradiate his sky from, I think it was like an ultramarine blue down to a Prussian blue. But unfortunately, some of those modern masters, I can't afford to take their classes. Yeah, they're pretty expensive, but I think they're probably justifiable. And in the art world, I've talked about this with other artists, that we almost question how much is made through art, and then how much is made through through lessons and books and teachings. You know, like another modern master that I really love, and I had signed up and took some of his online video classes. David LaFell. He is mainly, this is ultramarine that I'm still just playing around with and kind of rubbing it out to get kind of just a slight tint. David LaFell is a modern master who does still lives and portrait work, is what he mainly seems to focus on. His company, I think it's him, his wife, and another woman, do demos. I think they also have drawing demos. They were a monthly subscription that was affordable for a while for me. I think it was 20 or 30 a month, and I felt like I genuinely learned a lot from them. And whenever I do a still life or a portrait, I keep a lot of that in mind. But I also do have, I'm just getting a little bit burnt umber into this. I also do have a book that was published. I don't know if it was by him or somebody else was the writer, and it was just kind of studying him and interviewing him. And it was just very influential in my beginning painting years. Even though I didn't use his technique, it was kind of like the thought and concepts that were there. I'm wiping back to some of this so we can see. I put out some Italian lemon ochre, I think. Let's see how that goes in. I don't know how it will affect it opacity wise. I feel like I'm losing some of the textures and effects there, but we'll see. It might be better for a technique, I think it's what, scumbling, where it's kind of a thicker paint added on top. At the 17-minute mark. I'm gonna go to about a half hour with this one. I think that should get it to a point where it'll be interesting to let it sit for a day or two and dry off. I have some still lives that I'm working on. Actually, since this camera quality is so good, I might do a video where I do a heavy glaze and wipe back on a pre-existing painting. That would be fun. I think I want to get a little bit of green there. I have this, I think I have a full bottle of this. This is a sample. I really like companies that have good customer service. And I know it's hard. Chill, scratching that back there. They just go behind the shelf and just get lost in a cat wonderland. Anyway, I think I was rambling about how I really like companies that are very good customer service. But I also know that it's sometimes difficult for companies to provide good customer service in the fact that they're busy. You know, like Williamsburg, I had contacted them and said, hey, you know, I want to move up to a more professional line of paint. This is the type of stuff that I'm into. This is what I do. And after a few days, they responded and they said, oh, well, we'll send you these sample things. And they have a thing online where you could sign up and say, you know, what sample things you're looking at. And they proceeded, you know, to have an email back and forth and send it, which I really greatly appreciated. And then at that point, they had a customer for life. Same thing with the skateboarding. Some of the stuff, the higher precision brands, and I don't have like a precision brand skateboard or anything like that, because I'm never going to be at that point where, at least I don't think I'll ever be at that point where I'm need precision skateboard trucks for what's called pumping and whatnot. But some of those companies, you know, said, hey, you know, this is my body weight. this is where I'm at. This is what the roads are like. What can you recommend? What can you do, things like that. And they got back to me, and even if they're a little bit more expensive, then first of all, if you ever buy a skateboard, don't buy a Walmart skateboard or a longboard or anything like that. They're a little bit more expensive than like the super big brands that are able to pump out a lot of boards. But because of the size of their operation and their willingness to kind of grow the field and to support the community that is long distance skateboarding and whatnot, I think it's totally worth the price. This video has just been about consumerism and prices and whatnot. I guess we got into it when I was talking about Williamsburg, and before that the cost of some art lessons online. Another person that I had paid for like art subscription was Henry Lee, Blue Heron Arts. If you'll follow my channel, you'll notice that sometimes I post kind of the Chinese brush painting and the sumi stuff. And when I had gotten back into painting, I had found his YouTube channel, and he had a monthly subscription for exclusive content, and he had plenty of free content online, but I signed up for his monthly thing. I thought it was worth it, and that's a good way to support those artists that are putting content out for free. I'm looking at how this is going to read, if these will read as far trees right here, or if they'll read as clouds. I'm not sure. But after this, I'm going to put on some music and work on my still lives. That'll be fun. I'm excited to look at my before and after picture for today on this one. So I do feel like we built up a lot of interesting darks. This alizarin and that burnt umber. I didn't bother going professional brand for the alizarin because the pigment is so strong in the student lines, and I don't think there was really much need. And it's the synthetic, the xeiyu, which is light fast. What else can I ramble about? Yeah, the phthalos or phthalos, I didn't bother going professional line with them either because of how strong that pigment is. And that's in regards to the oils. Within watercolor, the lines that I've stayed with, the Cotman, the Van Gogh, and the Da Vinci. I think the Da Vinci is considered a professional line, and I think it's good for the price. I think they have a sale right now going on. I had looked at it, but I didn't order anything. Now that we're in summer mode and I'm not tutoring and stuff like that, kind of gotta look at what I'm spending money on. So hopefully the next farmers markets that come up are good. I think I am making too much of an area there that was dark. So let's try. I mean, I could keep it dark, but I want a little bit of variety in that. And I think that will help to scrub back some spots. And the nice thing is, if I scrub back and I'm like, oh, look better, I can always add it back in. So that's the nice thing about the oils. I did darken it up quite a bit. What I'll do for the rest of this video is kind of start pulling out and texturizing some of these dark areas that I had just put in, and we'll see how that goes. Apparently, and I don't have them here, but tweezers are apparently a really good painting tool, especially if cat's in the house. Fuzzy. All right, so I think I'm going to stop this session here on this one. I'll come back to this in a few days. I'll let this one sit and relax. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know what oil painters you follow on YouTube. Let's get a discussion going about them. I think I mentioned a few. David Usher, Stuart Davies, Dennis Sheehan, all really cool people on there. And on that note, I'll talk to you all soon. Have a great day.